Hello, and welcome to another episode of Spirit Lift Sundays on Fearless and Free TV. Today I'm feeling guided to talk about making better choices. One of the things I found really interesting over the years is the difference between right, wrong, good, bad, and best. So this idea of right, wrong, reality is part of the illusion of division that was created to keep us from unifying and making the decisions that are best for all concerned. When fear came to our planet, which my understanding, there are different people's opinions about when this happened, but my understanding it happened about 11,000 years ago. And that's what the story of Adam and Eve and the Garden of Eden is all about. So our planet used to be, back once before when we were on the light side of the galaxy, which is around 11,000 years ago, we had a garden that humanity lived in. And it was a place of love and peace and harmony and prosperity. And, the earth was plentiful and all of our needs were met. And then fear came to the planet. And on a soul level, our souls agreed to experience the contrast of learning through this right, wrong, fear-based reality, because fear is a fantastic medium for growth. And so we allowed it to be the case on a soul level, as I said. And what I started to discover about 10 years ago, I received a message from Source that this is a learning planet until at which time our collective of souls agree for it to be a place of peace, which is now what is beginning to happen. Enough of our collective of souls are saying, you know what, we're done with this learning contrast, with this learning school. So we are now asking for fear to be removed from the planet so that we can return the planet to the place of peace, the garden that it once was. So ultimately, that's what the goal is for all of us who are awake and aware of what's happening on the earth realm and the world that we are now striving to create. So back again to this idea of right, wrong, reality. That came to the planet with fear. And that's what the story of the Garden of Eden is really about. It's about learning, what we now consider right and wrong. And that this idea of what's right and what's wrong is really based in fear. And so what that's done for humanity is that it's created this division of I'm right and you're wrong. This is right, that's wrong. And it's also created the fear-based beliefs of guilt, shame, resentment, self-judgment, judgment, and unworthiness. So all of those fear-based emotions stem from this belief of right, wrong, good, bad. If I'm good, you're bad. If you're right, I'm wrong. You see how that's playing out? That's all part of the duality of fear and the contrast of fear playing its role in the human experience. So in order for us as individuals to begin to purge fear from with our own personal experience, we need to get past these beliefs of right, wrong, good, bad, because all of that is based in fear, and all of it ultimately controls our capacity to make the decisions that are best. So one of the things that I've learned over the years is, rather than focus on what is right and what is wrong, is to start thinking about what's best for all concerned. Now, I know this is a language that very, very few of us are ever taught, because we're taught right, wrong, good, bad, shame, guilt, blame, resentment, judgment, unworthiness. That's built into most of our religiosities. It's built into our social structures. It's built into all of our systems. And that, I call that, again, this is part of this idea of fear disguised as love. Now, this isn't to say that there isn't light and darkness, and that there isn't benevolence and malevolence, what others would call good and evil. Although I prefer to stay away from the word good, because it also connotates that something is good and something is bad. Where really what we're experiencing on this earth realm is learning. The entire purpose for our human experience is to learn. And So it isn't about what's right and what's wrong. It's about what's best. The other thing to consider, what's right for me might be wrong for you. What's good for one person might be bad for another person, because it's all a matter of perception. And that some cultures might do something that we find to be horrific, and we do things they find to be horrific. That, again, is a judgment. It's a perception of what's right and what's wrong. And it's really nothing more than our personal human perceptions of what we think is right and wrong. So when we start getting out of this language of right, wrong, good, bad, and instead start to shift our consciousness up to this higher understanding of what's possible for the human experience, as we learn how to purge fear from our human experience and from our planetary experience, it comes down to completely changing our languaging about how we make the choices that we make. So if we can shift our consciousness out of this fear-based right, wrong, good, bad reality, which is the very basis of the duality reality we're presently facing, and instead move into a higher consciousness of what is best. So when you're sitting and tuning in with yourself, with God, with spirit, your guides, your guardians, however it is that you get those answers about your life and those around you, the best way to ask is to ask what's best, rather than asking, is this good or is this bad? Is this right or is this wrong? Ask what is best. What is best for you? What is best for those in your circle of friends and family? What is best for all of humanity? And then if you want to take that decision making to an even higher consciousness, you can ask yourself what is best and the highest and greatest good of all concerned. Now, the reason I make this stipulation is because there have been others throughout time who have manipulated this concept of, again, fear disguised as love. As in the days of Hitler, he used the term for the common good. So, rounding up the Jewish people and the homeless people and the handicapped people and sending them off to places that we now know where they went was sold to the German people as for the common good. We're seeing that now with certain, what is the word I'm looking for? We're seeing that now with certain agendas and propagandas being for the greater good. And what's really interesting about those two phrases is I went and did a gematria test on those. And what's really fascinating is across all three gematrias, those two phrases hold exactly the same energy. They are both fear disguised as love and used exactly the same way in a form of brainwashing the collective into making a choice that's for the greater good or for the common good. And so it's really important that we start to recognize what those really mean and recognize that that's part of the agenda that's being played out right now. And instead recognize how we can use our own languaging to make completely different and better choices. So as long as we're making our choices from right, wrong, good, bad, we're actually restricting our own capacity to rise to a higher level of loving, joyful human experience. And we're also limiting, we're limiting our own ability, and we're also restricting the ability of those around us and all of humanity, because what we think, what we believe, what we speak feeds into the collective consciousness. So the more we raise our own consciousness, the more we change our own languaging, the more that feeds out into the collective and becomes part of the collective languaging and the collective consciousness. So it's up to every single one of us who is more conscious of the words that we use, the thoughts we have, the feelings we have, and learn how to use them more consciously. That actually helps to raise the vibration of the collective. So a lot of people have this belief of, well, one person can't possibly make a difference. And the truth is, that's all that's ever made a difference. So when you change your languaging from right, wrong, good, bad, he's good, I'm, he's bad, he's good, I'm good, he's bad, all that. And that I make better choices than that person, and my choices are good and that person's choices are bad. And what I did was good and what that person did was bad. And all of that. That's all based in fear. And it's all created to keep us divided, one against each other, and also to keep us divided within ourselves. So it's interesting. I'm getting that visual right now of like the devil on one shoulder and the angel on the other. And they're like playing tug of war in your mind for what's right and what's wrong. And when we get past this idea and get down into the truth of accessing what's best, that polarity even within ourselves ceases to exist. So what we're trying to do with changing our languaging is changing the polarity on our planet from divisiveness to oneness. And we do that by first creating it within ourselves. So as you're sitting again, as I was saying, and asking, how do I make this choice? It isn't about what's right or wrong. It isn't about how the other person's going to react to your choices. It's about what's best for you on a soul level. Remember, your spirit having a human experience. So what is best for you? Calling in your higher self and asking your higher self what is best for you. Is this what's best for me? Is this what's best for my family? Is this what's best for my community? Is this what's best for my city, my country, for the entire earth, for the whole of humanity? What is best? What is the best choice in this now moment? And what is for the highest and greatest good of all concerned? When we start making our choices from that languaging, our entire world, our own inner world, and our immediate world, and then the expansive world will begin to shift. Our entire experience will begin to shift because we're pulling our mind out of that duality of fear versus love, and instead focusing on what is best and what is it that's going to bring us together in oneness and harmony, in peace, for all concerned and for the highest and greatest good of all life on earth. So I hope that helps with your decision making, because we're all in a decision right now. Well, I mean, we're actually in one of the biggest choice points humanity has ever faced, and every single one of us are at choice point. We get to choose how we react to what is being brought into our field, because it's a strong possibility it's going to get worse in appearance before it gets better in appearance. But that's only because the darkness is being broken up. It's being brought to the surface for all of us to take a good hard look at so that we can dismantle it. And if you're stuck in right, wrong, good, bad, it's going to be a lot more difficult to decipher how to look at the information that's coming across as what is best, because there is so much misinformation and disinformation across the entire board. Doesn't matter which community you're a part of, there is misinformation and disinformation in all of it, and there's truth in all of it. So we have to get really good at deciphering what is true and what is best for ourselves, for all concerned, and for all life on earth. So I hope that helps you moving forward. And as always, remember to hold your light so high others can't help but see their own light. Together we will create a world of peace, harmony, and prosperity for all. And as always, get bold, be fearless, and live free. Be sure to hop on over to my official website at victoriareynolds.com and pick up your free gift, and check out all the other goodies that I have there for you.